This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The opinions expressed in this episode are not to be construed as medical advice.
Welcome to Demystify Beauty, a weekly podcast about creating transparency in the beauty space. I'm Mackenzie Westmore.
And I'm Dr. Paul Nassif.
Hi, Dr. Nassif.
What's going on in hot Nevada?
Okay, everybody keeps saying it's like crazy. It's not that hot. I don't know why everybody's freaking out over the heat. I mean, I'll take even like in the 90s over a hurricane and an earthquake any day.
Well, what's the weather like now?
It's in the 90s. It's not, I mean, for me, I know I like heat because I run so cold. So maybe that's why I'm not like clicking with everybody talking about it, because I'm always freezing. Like I'm wearing a parka in 85-degree weather. That's like
okay. So you like the hot weather then, basically.
Yeah.
So you are on the opposite sides of most people, because you're telling me in 85-degree weather you're wearing something really warm.
I'm in a long sleeve. I'm in a long sleeve right now.
So Nevada is the right place for you.
It actually is. I never in my life, being born and raised in LA, would ever think that, but it's the perfect place for me. It's the perfect weather. I freaking love it.
This week, it's a great follow-up, correct?
Yes, correct.
So talk to me about what are we doing today, because I know you have a wonderful guest.
I do, and I would love to bring her in.
Because I want to hear about this, because I know we're talking about kind of now the follow-up to Ozempic, because I've also learned some stuff since our last time we discussed it. So you fire away, girl. Let me hear it.
All right. Well, I want to introduce you, Dr. Nassif, and to everybody listening or watching, to the gorgeous, the amazing, the intelligent Lizzie Rovsek. Lizzie, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here, and so happy to meet you, Dr. Nassif.
It's nice to meet you, Lizzie. Now, how do you guys know each other?
We met actually through Emily Simpson.
Yeah. We met through Emily, and Mackenzie came to our birthday a couple years ago. We had joint birthdays. Emily and I have birthdays that are just a couple days apart, and sometimes some years we do birthdays together, and Mackenzie came one year, and that's when I first met you.
That's beautiful. Now, what I'm wondering, do you need to do the whole thing over again, because she sounded pretty crackly?
Should we do it over again, Mackenzie?
Mackenzie?
Oh, whatever. Do you want to just... Okay, you want me? I'll introduce her again. Okay. All right. So, Dr. Nassif, and anybody that is listening or watching, I want to introduce you to a dear friend of mine who is not only gorgeous on the outside, but just as gorgeous on the inside. Extremely intelligent, amazing human being, the wonderful Lizzie Rovsek. Hi, Lizzie.
Yay!
Hi, Dr.
Hi, Lizzie.
Nassif.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Nice
So
to
now,
meet you too. This is super fun.
What's the connection between the two of you?
Mackenzie and I
Emily
met
Simpson. Yeah.
through Emily Simpson. Yeah, we had a birthday party together. Emily and I have a birthday just a couple days apart, and a lot of years we do birthdays together. And one year we had a party, and Mackenzie came, and that was the first time I met Mackenzie. And
Now,
we've been buddies ever since.
Wow, I love
and
that.
I love her products. She actually gave me like a whole bunch of her amazing products that she sells on QVC. And one of my favorite products ever, I was just telling her, is the camouflage, the body camouflage. It's incredible. Covers up anything you need.
Now, is Emily in Orange County?
Yes.
Yes. So much.
So where are you at in Orange County?
I live in Laguna Hills, actually.
So not too far from me. I live in Dana Point.
Oh, you do? I didn't know that you lived in Orange County.
Yeah, I mean, not on the weekends, like Friday through Monday.
Okay.
And,
I love Dana Point.
Yeah. And Laguna Hills is somewhere that I see. I mean, I think I know where Laguna Hills is. I kind of pass it all the time. It's closer to the 73
area. Yeah, you're kind of in between. There's the 73 and the 5 is on one side.
Okay, I know exactly where that is. Yeah, I love that whole area, Laguna Hills.
It is beautiful there.
That whole South Orange County thing, I'm just in love with. Tell me, because she looks already too darn thin. So don't tell me that she was on, or were you on, a little bit of our, Manjaro or the Ozempic.
Never. Not. I would never. I wouldn't be on it.
You don't need
I don't
it.
need it.
Well,
I've
you
always
look pretty
been. I've
darn
always been
thin.
thin, but I lift. I mean, I lift weights. I work out a lot, and I'm very much into health. And so I've done some research on it because it has been a really hot topic, and I know that it definitely is helping so many people who are overweight or diabetic, and I know that having the health the stuff that's going on with your health when you're really overweight or diabetic, those are major concerns. But if you're just needing to lose like a little bit of weight or 20 pounds, you should not be taking Ozempic, I don't think, because there's also major health precautions. I mean, it increases it causes thyroid cancer. I mean, right?
Well, I
I mean,
hope
they've done
not.
the
My
study in
goodness.
mice. No, they've done the study in mice. It increases thyroid cancer and can cause thyroid cancer. That was like a big thing to me, and I'm hypothyroid ever since I've had my kids. So I've always, I'm always working on trying to get off any kind of medication.
Our takeaways from Dr. Majid is, obviously there's no magic cure. However, in the right situations, again, without knowing the full detail of the long-term effects, I mean, it's still being used, especially one, pre-diabetes, but two, for, patients that want that significant weight loss. And I know there's something that the lawsuit, or there's some thoughts about, remember, gastroparesis is a delayed emptying of the stomach. And so obviously, that's why you feel like you're full, is because your stomach is emptying a lot slower. So when the stomach is dilated and full, you're not going to want to eat that much. Now, did you hear about this lawsuit, Mackenzie?
I did.
Or Lizzie?
And yeah, I definitely did hear about the stomach paralysis. And, I guess because I didn't research it too much, I think, Dr. Nassif, you're going to know more because as a doctor, I'm curious because I've seen so many places pop up where they have a semaglutide, but it's not something you would go pick up at CVS or Rite Aid. It's a compound. So it's not exactly the same thing as a semaglutide of Ozempic or Wegovy. So I know there's so many different things, but if you can explain, what is the stomach paralysis, and is that mostly caused by the traditional Ozempic, Wegovy? What is your knowledge on that?
I mean, remember, one of the things is the conversion of semaglutide has to do with, a decreased conversion. And there's different ways and mechanisms that works of sugar getting into your body. And that's the simplest way, to say. But one of the potential issues is something called gastroparesis, or delayed gastric emptying. So in other words, when you have delayed gastric emptying, also, there's still a problem with certain absorption of vitamins. It's still better than when you have what we call fast gastric emptying, because remember, a lot of the vitamins are absorbed through your stomach. So that situation, if a medicine or if something is in contact with your stomach for a long time, that means that your emptying is really slow. That means if you take a medicine that it's absorbed through your stomach, and if it's sitting there for a long time, could you be getting too much of whatever that medicine you're taking is, because your gastric empty is delayed? Because most medication is made based on, as it absorbs through your stomach, first, because that's how you take a pill. You take a pill, goes down your esophagus, sits through your stomach, and then your stomach breaks it down with the acid, and then you absorb it,
Right.
and then it goes in your bloodstream. But the question that I'm wondering, if this really is an issue, let's say you take a pill that's pretty potent, but usually it gets absorbed before the pill breakdown products go somewhere else, and the rest of what we call the upper intestine. If it sits inside your stomach for a long time, we're wondering, and we may not know this for a while, but are you getting more absorption of the medication, maybe quicker than you shall, quicker than it should? Can that cause problems? Because you might be absorbing too much of it. And I don't know that.
Dr. Nelson, what are your thoughts on, because we have, people like our friends at Evolve where they do have a semi-glutide, like I mentioned earlier, is more of a compound. Do you think there's a difference?
So that's a great question. I know there's many types of compounded semi-glutides, and there's also something called tirzepatide, which is a Mounjaro, and they're making a new one. I know that a lot of places use these, but the question is, are they any good?
Right.
And one, are they effective in weight loss?
Mm-hmm.
And two, can they cause some other problems?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something, I don't know. I mean, that's a question for the both of you for a minute. I don't personally know anyone that buys one of the compounds, but do either of the two of you know of any of your friends that do not use, from, the main pharmaceuticals, do they use compounds?
So I do, but Lizzie, I want to start with you first. Do you know anybody that is either taking the traditional or the compound?
I mean, I don't really know anyone that I've had a conversation with that's actually taking it if they're not being like upfront about it. I mean, I don't know. I just know that this has been like a big, huge topic and boom. And I've been researching about it because that's what I do. I go deep dive and I try to find out as much as I can about certain things that are out there and how they're going to work with our bodies because it scares me a little bit, right?
Hey,
Okay.
Lizzie, tell us some of your friends that have taken it. One, have they needed it? And two, how are they tolerating it?
Yeah, what are you seeing?
How the results, give us some of your gossip in the South Orange
Without
County
naming names,
area
of course.
I have like one or two friends that I've heard mention it, taking it. I don't think that either one of them really needed it. But I don't really know how much they're taking. I don't know
Yeah.
the details.
Well, you don't
know
I
all
haven't
the full
talked to
gossip.
anyone in detail
I
about
know
it. You know what I mean?
Emily came forward. Emily was
Emily did.
in the press that she had taken it. She took it for a period of time because she really was having a difficult time just jump starting, the
Right.
direction she
Sure.
wanted to go. So she took it to jumpstart her, and it got her there. Now, yes, she also was honest and open, and that's what I love, about you, Lizzie, about Emily is you're very open and honest about your journeys. And Emily was very open that yes, she had surgery, yes, she took Ozempic. And it helped her. And so far as I'm seeing, Lizzie, I don't know about you, but so far as I'm seeing, she's doing great.
Oh, Emily looks incredible.
Amazing.
And that right there is a situation where I think it almost, it affects her health too, being overweight. So it was a good jump start for her. And I know that she didn't continue to take it. It was, she took it for a period of time to jumpstart,
Correct.
just like you said.
Jumpstart, and that's good.
And that's
perfect.
great. Yeah, I think I think the biggest concern is people that stay on it when they don't really need it.
Yeah.
Because some people really do need it, but there's also, some side effects and some long-term effects that we don't fully know a whole lot about that kind of scare me. I'm all about, what I'm about is all about getting healthy from the cellular
Yes.
level, just
Right.
being healthy, living a healthy life and not, I would want to, be healthy from working out and, eating the right things instead of injecting something. that I don't really know what's going to happen long term. But that's just me. But there's definitely people who are needing to take this medication, and it's helping them. It's changing their lives. It's making them happier. They're losing weight. They're getting healthier. And there's health precautions for for being overweight. That some people have a very, very, very hard time losing weight. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's one of the things. It's like you got to get healthy to get healthy, you know?
Right. And that was the thing that I saw with
Mhm.
Emily. And Emily looked gorgeous and beautiful as she was. I never
Hmm.
felt or thought she needed to do anything. But at the end of the day, when everybody has a criticism or they've got something to say, I always say it doesn't matter what any of us think. It's what does that person think? What did Emily's happy. It
Right.
built her confidence. So if it
That,
makes her happy at the end of the day, what does it matter what would any of us think?
yeah.
Exactly. I'm right there with you on that. And I know that Emily went through a period and she was kind of depressed. And
Yeah.
I would feel the same way. And I would probably, I mean, if I was really overweight and I felt like, look, I'm in a rut, I just can't. And I know how hard she's worked out. She really,
Yeah.
really
She
works
worked her
her
butt
butt off.
off.
You know what
Yeah,
I
no
mean?
pun
And
intended.
to not see results, that makes somebody crazy and is
Yep.
depressing. Mhm.
Listen, I mean, that's exactly the way it is. Like you said, there are certain indications. And listen, one thing that, DeBro and I, when going on these interviews for Botch, were saying, don't body shame people that are using this. And there's other ones. There's metformin, there's
Right.
berberine, there's all these different type of products. But I know that you want to talk about something fun, don't you? You want to talk about a little plastic surgery?
No, I actually didn't know what to expect. I hadn't listened to the podcast, and Mackenzie just reached out to me, and I just thought it was going to be about plastic surgery. And then we
Well,
got
let's
on the
do it.
phone, and she
Let's
said,
do
"Did you get?"
it.
She sent me a DM, and it was about Ozempic, and I just read it right when we were talking, right when I got online the first time. So I was like, "Oh, okay, let's talk about Ozempic." And so I
Uh-oh.
don't know a whole lot about it. I've done a little bit of research, and I do know some things about it, but not
Well,
a
don't
whole
don't
lot.
don't
Yeah,
listen.
I
Don't
want
worry
it.
about it,
Yeah.
because since the thing is, the bottom line is we're happy to have you. And so I'm going to ask you some stuff, and then you can get into it. South Orange County
Okay.
compared to Newport.
Okay.
All right, let's see, because this is actually some kind of news for me, even because my goal is to slowly get out some South Orange County practice going, versus
Okay.
Newport. So, do you have a lot of friends in Newport?
Yes.
So, is there a big difference on the desire for plastic surgery in the South Orange County area? Laguna Niguel, Laguna Hills,
Hmm.
Monarch, Laguna, Dana Point, San Clemente, that whole Aliso Viejo and all those other areas, San
Hmm.
Juan, San Clemente. What's that, if you know, and you may know, you may not know, I don't know, what's that plastic surgery bubble like, or the difference between that and more like Newport Beach?
Well, I think that Newport Beach is just as a whole more pretentious than it. South Orange County, you've got a lot of beach girls and a lot of moms and soccer moms down here. and but I do think that it's just it's also a universal trend that everybody wants to stay looking good and looking fresh, and there's little things that everybody can do to do that. But I feel like there's probably a lot more plastic surgery going on in Newport Beach than in South Orange County. There's a little bit more of a natural thing down here. But people are still having, I mean, there's probably just as much plastic surgery down here than that there is in Newport. I mean,
So, now,
it look good, but
is it more body work or face work from the
Mm,
people
good
oh,
in
question.
general?
well, I think among my friends, I
Hmm.
think it's probably more maybe body work than it is face, because I don't know, we haven't really gotten into facelifts and stuff yet. I mean, my friends. I know Emily's done some things, but and some of my older friends, but none of my like just real circle of moms that I'm around. No one's had like facelifts or anything done, or not really even nose jobs. It's been mostly like breast reductions, mommy jobs after you have the babies. Cause I'm surrounded by lots of moms. I'm a mom of 2 kids. And, for me, I've had like, my big saga has been my boobs my whole life. Because when I was 13, I was 5'6" with double D's natural. And I've gotten so much heat over the years about my breasts. And I've had multiple surgeries, reductions and lifts and all that. Just
Are
keep
you
it
in
up.
Would you
are
say
you
it's
in
more
a
mommy? Sorry.
are you in a good place now with your breasts?
I'm in the best place. I love where I'm at. So when I was young, it was something that I was very self-conscious about. I never wanted to
Yeah.
go to the pool parties or the beach
Of course.
when there was a bunch of kids around because I was so young and I had very large breasts. And I'll never forget my mom brought the People magazine to me with Soleil Moon Fry on the cover.
Oh
And
my
she was
God.
like the first breast reduction. And I
Wow.
loved Punky Brewster growing up. And
Yeah.
right. I was an 80s baby, so I loved her. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could do that. I could get a breast reduction. And I was in the pageant world. I was competing for, I did Miss Teen USA, Miss USA. And, my boobs were always an issue. And then I moved out to LA I lived in Kentucky, was Miss Kentucky. Then I moved out to LA and I wanted to act and I wasn't getting any serious roles. And I was theater trained actress and they kept sending me in for Charlie Sheen's love interest, bimbo number 1, number 2.
Oh boy.
Because when you have real boobs, they just bounce, it's like, it's a whole thing. So I did have my first breast reduction when I was 22. And then before I had children, my doctor said, if you want to save your breasts, because you have so much breast tissue, because I still had, large breasts. I didn't want to ever get rid of them because that's who Lizzie is. I mean, I've always had them. It'd be like J-Lo getting rid of her butt, right? Like,
Right.
I just wasn't going to take them away completely, but I wanted it to fit me. So before I had babies, my doctor then said, we should put a little implant under the muscle, save your breast tissue. So I did that before I had kids. And then after I had kids, they got huge again.
Yeah.
Because I still had a lot of breast tissue. And then just recently I had another breast, reduction, lift, like the whole shebang. And I absolutely love them right now. They're the best they've ever been. I went to Dr. Kessler in Newport, and he is a sculptor. He is incredible. He stitches on the inside. I couldn't even imagine them look this good. I'm very,
Lizzie,
very happy. But it's been a journey, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of you out of you emotionally also.
Yeah. It's funny, Lizzie, because you and I are the complete opposite of our stories. And this is a story I've actually never told until now.
Uh-oh.
So so my journey as growing up was that I was about a triple A. The wall behind me has more definition than I
Oh my
did.
God. God bless you.
I was inverted. It was so bad. I looked like a boy. I mean, I was a full-on tomboy. And so when I started to go into the acting world, and I, like you, theater trained, opera, Shakespeare, but as I started to get into auditioning, I was getting very self-conscious. And I remember auditioning for Passions, and I would stuff my bra. And then I didn't know anything I wasn't hearing anything from them. And I remember having a talk with my mom, and I said, I feel really uncomfortable about myself. I don't like the way that I'm. And she said, you've got to do what you feel good about. You need to go the direction you go to. You need to go. So I got breast implants. A week after that, I get a phone call that I booked the job and I needed to get on a plane the next day to France. And I'm a week out of surgery. So wow. I'm ecstatic, but I'm also panicking. I get on the phone with my surgeon. I'm on the phone with my surgeon almost every day because between the flight, I had to run around. I couldn't tell anybody that I had implants. I busted a stitch while I was over in France. It was my introduction to Passions was an absolute nightmare that I brought on to myself.
As long as you didn't get a hematoma.
I did
That's
not.
the important thing.
I did not. No, I just busted one stitch, which wasn't so bad.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to breast work, remember, I'm a facial plastic surgeon. So I'm going to do face work, facelifts and eyes and noses and eyebrows. However, this is now the 8th season of Botched. And I'll tell you one thing, I've learned so much about breasts that,
You
when it
probably
comes
could
to,
do it at this point.
I probably can. I mean, from, OGs to breast reductions to breast lifts, all that stuff. And I think that as you guys just, had opposite ends of the spectrum,
Yeah.
we're trying to get big, and here we're trying to reduce. And you're right. A lot of girls are more, from what I recall, as teenagers, are more insecure about having bigger breasts than being flatter, which is always a huge issue, becoming self-conscious about it too. At least from all the patients I've dealt with over all these years and hearing these stories, it's always that, that a lot of young girls are getting breast reductions at 18, 19, and back pain and the whole bit, especially limiting the exercise. So, that's it's something like you said, Lizzie, that it's a must in certain situations. Were you getting back pain at all?
I was just going to ask that.
I wasn't getting back pain, but I ran track and I was a cheerleader and I was a dancer.
Oh,
when
boy,
I ran
all that.
track,
Oh, boy.
I would wear 3 sports bras.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Ow.
So I always take offense when I get the hate online about my breasts and stuff, and I'm like, listen, it's not like I went out and tried to make, put these huge boobs on my body, which my boobs aren't even that big. I think they fit my body. They fit nicely. But no, it was a saga. I remember my mom, she would come in with like these, minimizing bras. They looked like a grandma bra. They were just covered. I was just like, oh, I have to wear those. Like none of it was like sexy or fun. I always thought, wow, it's so nice for, the girls to not have boobs. And then if they ever wanted them, they could go get them and then they're just perfect. Right. And so, when you have really large breasts, to deal with it. It's not like, and even going to get a breast reduction, it's not like you're going to get boobs. It's not as like fun of a surgery, I don't think.
Yep. That makes sense.
It is interesting because I agree with you, both of you, that, when you hear from teenagers that it is more of a self-conscious thing to have larger breasts. I mean, I know for myself personally, being so small had the opposite. I mean, almost the same effect where I just felt I was constantly stuffing my bra because I felt so self-conscious of being so flat and looking like a boy and feeling like a boy. So it really was, through my teen years, took almost the same effect where I felt that I had to stuff my bra to feel normal.
Well, that's, it's interesting about the psychology, small breasts versus big breasts. And then, we have the patients that want to go to 3,000-4,000 cc's.
Jeez.
With the
they
humongous
do that?
breasts.
I think it went over 800.
Oh yeah, no,
Lord.
you gotta, those are sizers. Put on my show once in a while if you haven't seen it, and you'll see some of these patients that come
I've
with,
seen some of them that are like out of control.
Wow.
Huge.
Are these porn stars?
No, they're like social media folks. They like doing it. No, they're not all, they like some of them just love having very large, breasts, and they keep wanting to go, and then that's when they could have an issue or a complication or a problem. The bigger you go, especially it starts to destroy your skin.
And that's
but the thing is with the implants is that, one, you get that capsular contraction,
right,
which will cause a deformity in the breast implant, and then there's so many things, slippage, and it can turn over. Or again, you have the breast implants illness, disorder. And that's a whole nother conversation, which we should have that if we haven't talked about breast implant illness disease.
If you remember, Dr. Nassif, that's what originally brought me to you. I thought I was having breast implant illness, but interestingly, it was
the
nothing
fillers.
to do with that. It was facial filler illness.
Wow, what happened? I mean, I feel like it's such a hard thing to decipher because there's so many different things that are in the world, things that we eat, endocrine disruptors and everything. What deciphers the breast illness from the facial fillers?
I
How
don't
did
think, I
you
mean,
know? What were your
we didn't
symptoms?
know. I was having all the traditional symptoms. I was constantly sick. I was testing positive for lupus, fibromyalgia, all these things that weren't making any sense. And I remember calling my cousin Matt, who is the
Yeah.
executive over there on Botched. And he said, "You've got to go see Dr. Nassif. Just go talk to him. I know this is not exactly what he does, but just go talk to him and pick his brain and see what can be done." And so I went to Dr. Nassif, and I'll never forget walking in the office. He
Mhm.
looked at my face and he just said, "Your breasts are not the problem. It's your face. We need to fix your face." And I had just gotten so far into the woods that I wasn't seeing the problem. And from the day Dr. Nassif fixed me, touch wood, I have been testing negative now for lupus,
I love hearing
fibromyalgia,
that.
all of these things. I mean, my internist, everybody across the board, they all sing Dr. Nassif's praises because they were constantly seeing me sick. And I'm very close friends with all of my doctors, and nobody wants to see their patient constantly sick for random weird reasons that you can't explain. And I've been totally healthy since. That's why I tell Dr. Nassif all the time. Like, I almost break down in tears because I'm like, "You saved my life, dude. You saved my life, literally, and
Yeah,
saved my
there's a
face."
yeah, there's a beautiful Lizzie, a beautiful story on people .com, and we ended up dissolving all that filler on Mackenzie, and then we ended up doing a facelift and a brow lift,
Yep.
and
A complete reconstruction. I mean, it's fascinating, Lizzie, because
uh,
it's actually pinned on my Instagram reels, the whole story, because you don't. I mean, even if I had my hair pulled back, you would not see it. But there's the two scars up here, three actually, one that runs all the way down the back of my neck. But Dr. Nassif's work is so impeccable, and the way he was able to get rid of the fillers, even down to chiseling it off my bone because it was cemented onto my bone, pushing on the
Wow.
lymph nodes. I mean, he just did such beautiful work that I thank God, there's no scarring, there's nothing. I mean, you really,
thank
people
you.
look at me and they don't know anything's been done.
Yeah,
People that don't know me.
the facelift incisions are impeccable, and
That's
so she looks
amazing.
fair. I mean, look at her; she just looks great.
You would
It
never
looks
know.
incredible. I was like,
So
"Do you have a filter on? Look how beautiful! Like
so
she's
sweet.
glowing. She looks incredible."
No,
I,
between Dr. Nassif's work and good makeup.
Good makeup, her
so when it's
beautiful.
time for me to get a facelift, I need to go see Dr. Nassif.
Yep, and that will be a while because you're still very young. You look
Yeah.
great.
You
I
don't need it.
really am liking PRP. It's kind of I've stopped using a lot of filler. I just use very, 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 very tiny bits of filler only when I need it. But PRP has been I do it every month, month and a half, 2 months maybe, and she goes under my eyes. She goes into my jaw. What does she do? She goes in my hair, my hands, on the décolleté. Like I mean, it's incredible. It's been really like reversing aging.
Now, is it injected or is that through a
Yeah,
microneedling?
Injected the PRP, and then we started doing PRF too. No, she injects it.
Oh, wow.
hmm
Hmm.
yeah,
I
we do
love the
all that.
results from it.
I'm
And the
so used to
PR, yeah,
hearing of microneedling and PRP. I've never heard of the injected PRP.
yeah, we inject it too. We've been doing that for about 25 years.
Wow.
I know
And
it's new to me, but it's
yeah, and there's also
they've been
something called
doing it for a while.
nano fat too, which is we take the fat, emulsify it, and just get the cells out. And those are called multipotent stromal cells. So it's great for all that future medicine, to make sure that you're taking an area where the texture and the tone needs to be improved,
Mhm.
and, fixing the entire face, pigmentation, all that. So the more time as technology gets better, we'll be hopefully, using products from our blood a lot more.
Mm. Yeah, because for those listening or watching, I probably don't know, PRP is, they call it the gold of our blood.
Right, the
Mhm.
platelet
Rich
Pla-
platelet rich
plasma.
plasma.
Yes, and they spin your blood, right, and then the gold platelets come out. And then there's the PRF. What's the and that I've heard they use it as filler, Dr. Nassif. They can thicken it, they can heat it and thicken it and use it,
I,
but it can't
you
be as
know,
good as filler.
I don't know. I haven't seen them use it as filler. I know we've used PRF in some surgeries before, but I don't know how they're using it as filler. I'm just not sure.
Okay.
But, but there's the whole things, with the facials, the PRP facials, all that is really, these blood facials, they call them, injecting the skin. But,
See, this is all new to me because
plus nano fat.
Because I'm so used to hearing about PRP, exosomes, if I'm saying it right, through microneedling.
Yep, exosomes.
But
Yep,
I've
we do
never
that
heard
too.
of I've never heard of injected. That's a whole new one for me.
I mean, the other thing too about the whole weight loss trend, remember, the more you wait, the biggest thing, is my advice for everyone. If you're going to go on one of these semaglutides, whether it's from the pharma versus compounded, you have to make sure it's just quality is not going to cause complications.
Correct.
And that's the biggest thing, and then there's other stuff. Remember, it's not like when they're trying to use using speed like Fin in the 90s.
Oh my God.
That was very up your metabolism. Or there's they call it nature's Ozempic as berberine. And I've been using that for years. My cardiologist put me on that.
Yeah.
But I've been taking it probably for 8 years straight now. I think they said you should just take it for a smaller amount of time, but I've been taking it for a long time.
Now, what is the original reason for berberine?
Berberine it's an antioxidant. They think it could have some mechanisms. Here, I'll tell you right now, some mechanisms like metformin, because I take metformin too.
Okay.
And basically what it does, the metformin, it actually gets the insulin levels more level, even off.
Mm-hmm.
And also it works on the gut we call the microbes inside the gut, or the microbes. So it's the atmosphere of bacteria in the stomach. And it actually kind of stabilizes that. So that's a whole thing too on this berberine. Nature's Ozempic. I know it's herbal, and obviously it's a lot less expensive than on Amazon than is getting Ozempic. So berberine could be something, as long as it's used in moderation as per the way they tell you to use it. That could be another alternative. Plus, it's a lot less expensive.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just curious with the berberine, are there any interactions, or is there anything that people need to be aware of?
Well, that's something, again, what I do is I like to, I don't know that, and that's why it's always good before you go on any type of a weight loss supplement. Speak to your internal medicine doctor versus your cardiologist. I mean, I've been using it now once a day.
Today.
Yeah. So I've been using it for years, and now I'm going to read a little bit more since it's becoming hot again. I'm going to kind of read a little bit more about it and see, what I can learn. And of course, Mackenzie, I'll fill you in.
Yeah, I would be really curious to know. I mean, I was seeing that it's 58 million plus views of #berberine on TikTok. And so there's obviously a huge new trend of that. So yeah, I want to know more about this now.
So we'll get into a whole thing. I want to do my research and talk to my cardiologist also.
Yes.
Let's see what it is. I think we're running out of time.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody listening and watching to Demystify Beauty. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and keep those questions coming. We love answering your questions and having guests on to help us demystify beauty. Until next time.
Bye. Thanks for having me on today, guys.
Thank you for listening to Demystify Beauty, produced by Gotham Production Studios. If you have any questions for future episodes, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on Instagram at demystifybeauty or email us at demystifybeauty@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. See you next time.